What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to, of course, talk about with you guys. This time we've got a little bit of news you don't really want to talk about. Like, it's just news in terms of, like, injuries. You never want to talk about players having long-term injuries, but unfortunately for Cleveland Cavaliers fans, including myself, one of our players is actually going down with an injury, this time actually being Collin Sexton, where he has a left meniscus tear and is out indefinitely, which could actually be the whole season. Legitimately could be the whole season he misses. And what's really weird about this is, when I want to talk about how does this affect the Cleveland Cavaliers, in my opinion, it doesn't really affect the Cavaliers that much. And I think a lot of Cavs fans kind of know this, but Sexton really wasn't that good for the Cavaliers this year. Like, he wasn't the guy anymore. It's pretty clear to see that, like, Collin Sexton has had to take a step back. I think that he's gone into preseason, and he went into preseason knowing that the team wanted to trade him, and why they wanted to trade him was because he's always been a ball hog. We know that Sexton's been a ball hog for a very long time. Look, he can still be a ball hog, but this year he really did, kind of improve kind of the ball movement. But I really don't think the Cavaliers will miss Sexton exactly too much, as this year he had a really down year. In 11 games, he was averaging 16 points per game, on 29 minutes per game, 3.3 rebounds, and only 2 assists. And here's the thing, his field goal in total was 45%, and his 3-point was only 25%. His 2-point shots were alright at 54%, and his free throws were a little bit down too, on 74%. He also averaged around 3 turnovers per game. So again, his stats are really quite down, considering last year he was averaging double the assists, and 8 points more per game, with about an extra 13% on the efficiency from 3. And this year, of course, his 2-point percentage has been a lot better as well. But hey, that was pretty much the only thing improved this year. You really do see, though, that the Cavaliers went in a real different direction that wasn't around Collin Sexton. Like, Garland has been a freak for them this year. He's averaging 15.5 points per game on around 7.5 assists on 44% from 3. He's been playing like a lot of off-ball this year. Again, the 4 turnovers, it may sound bad, but those turnovers are just from, like, lobs and things that just don't pan out. But they don't really get, make them get scored on. It's a little bit different if you were getting scored on 2 turnovers per game. But Garland's 4 turnovers per game hardly get scored on. They're just, miscalculated lobs, or they'll go out of, bounds. Something like that will happen. Garland has been really good for the Cavs this year. I'd say he's probably been the best. But then you got Mobley, who's averaging like 15 and 8 as a rookie. Jarrett Allen, who's averaging 15 and 12, really. And then, of course, Ricky Rubio, who has been averaging 13.5 and 7 assists on 43% from 3. Crazy numbers. The Cavaliers have been really good this season. I honestly don't think they're going to miss Sexton too much. And what the thing that actually saddens me a little bit is because I really love Collin Sexton as a person. I'm not too sure I love him as a player. I do this year, because this year, even though his scoring's down, his assists are down, he's actually been really good ball movement wise. I just think the thing with Collin Sexton is, what saddens me is I really like him as a person. Like, he's a really great guy, a great locker room guy, it seems to be. Seems to be all in with that Cleveland kind of mentality, wanting to make Cleveland a great place, a great team, trying his absolute heart out every single game. And I think, the Cleveland Cavaliers might not miss exactly too much on the court, because, look, Sexton's scoring did help, but I think they'll be able to get, find a scorer pretty cheaply. And, like, I think there's rumors they might be already interested in Terrence Ross, and it looks like the Magic could be legitimately trying to trade that dude for, like, a second-round pick and a role player. And if the Cavaliers can get him in, he might be a nice scorer here and there as well. But the other thing is, when we kind of look at it like this, is, does this now mean that, does Collin Sexton get traded now? Because the Cleveland Cavaliers have been as good, if not better, with Collin Sexton not on the court. Like, we saw that in the Knicks game when Collin Sexton got injured and Ricky Rubio kind of took over. It went pretty crazy there, and there's been games this year when Colin Sexton's not on the court and Rubio and Garland are playing together, where the Cavs are just so much better as a team. It's really quite crazy, in my opinion. It does make me wonder now that, what do they do with Colin Sexton? Because it was revealed before the contract extension deadline that Sexton's team was actually wanting a max. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are not going to give a dude the max who's averaging 16 points per game. It's just not going to happen. Even though I know his scoring will get back up to about 20 per game, I just don't really want to give a guy a max that can be inconsistent sometimes, you know, in terms of his shooting, and sometimes be's a hog. I just don't really want to give that type of guy a max contract. I wouldn't mind giving Sexton like a 18 million per year type deal. I think that's pretty fair. You know, 18 to 20 million. But again, he definitely got worse, I think, as the time went on this season, and it seemed like the Cavaliers went more of like a 3-point perimeter type thing, and a really good interior defensive team, and a really good perimeter defensive team, really. Seemed like there was a lot of pace and space going around this year with the Cavs. They moved the ball quite fast, and it didn't really work with Sexton, because Sexton likes to move the ball fast, but when there's a couple guys in front of him and he can't score around him, he just kicks it out, and then, or he takes a contested layup, and it just doesn't work, this pace and space thing. I think Colin Sexton's game really works a lot better when the game is more slow, and that when he can do and he can get a pick and roll going, and not really use the roll, more of just get a screen so he can shoot. That's where Sexton's best, and I think there will be a lot of teams looking to try and trade for Colin Sexton. Honestly, this is a Cavs fan. I just don't think Sexton is right for the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially with this pace and space lineup they're kind of going with right now. And it's really hard to like kind of talk about this, because a lot of Cavs fans have their different opinions. 50% of them think that we should trade Sexton because of how much we've improved and why we're not really needing him, while the other half think that we should keep him. And I kind of agree with the other half too, because it's almost like, well, what if our ball movement gets shut down one game and this and that happens where we need a shot creator to rely on? That's when Colin Sexton would come in handy, right? So I wouldn't be totally opposed to re-signing Sexton, just as long as it's not on the max. But how his injury does affect the Cleveland Cavaliers, well, it doesn't really affect them too much on the court, unless one day they just desperately need a shot creator, which I don't think is really going to happen. They desperately needed a shot creator against the Lakers a couple games ago, and Sexton didn't come through, so it's going to be really hard to see. Do the Cavaliers shop him around? I know OKC would be really interested. They're really looking to bring in that small ball, death ball lineup back in the day when they used to have Chris Paul, SGA, and Schroeder playing like 30+ minutes per game. I think they're going to try and recreate that. They're going to try and have Giddey, SGA, and Sexton on the same starting lineup. I think that would actually work really, really well, in my opinion. I think that death ball lineup would be really fun to kind of watch. And we're seeing, because Josh Giddey's a pretty good 3-point shooter, and so is SGA. I think it would actually work kind of pretty good. They're just going to get a good 3-point shooting center and a good 3-point shooting power forward to kind of space the floor a little better. But hey, I think that would actually work really, really well. Then there's the Pelicans. If the Cavs look to maybe get, Brandon Ingram, something like that might happen. But again, I probably wouldn't trade Sexton unless a team offered him the max. I'm not in favor of extending Sexton on the max, if I'm being completely honest. If a team like OKC wants to offer him 25 to 30 million, I'm letting him walk, I think. I don't think I want to give him more than 20 million. Because at this point, I think it's pretty clear to see that Jarrett Allen is a better player than Sexton at the moment. Look, 2K certainly thinks so. They made Jarrett Allen like 4 overalls better than Sexton. Don't know if he's 4 overalls better, maybe a couple, but he's definitely a better player in my opinion. Allen's on around 20 million, so I definitely wouldn't give Sexton more than probably 20 million a year. I think what's fair for him would be around 18 million a year, especially considering the Cavs will have to extend Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro, Darius Garland, etc. very, very soon. So again, especially Garland, he's up next. He'll be looking for a $25 million per year type deal, which of course I would 100% give to. I really rate Garland. I think he's an outstanding player. But yeah, I just don't know how this whole situation with Colin Sexton is personally going to go. I think it's going to be really hard to kind of say and put a finger on it. But hey, I would really like to hear all your thoughts and opinions. How does this affect the Cleveland Cavaliers and Colin Sexton's injury? Do you guys think it affects us big, or do you guys think we're going to continue to bowl out? Again, as I said, we were kind of bowling out without him, so I don't know how much we need him. It's only going to, I think we're only going to need him unless we need a shot creator pretty desperately. But it looks like we could be trading for Terrence Ross, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting to kind of see how that, of course, all does unfold. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Subscribe to my gaming channel, my IRL/vlogging channel. Check out my podcast as well if you haven't already, which I will all be linking in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.